On my side, I was working at Allianz for 8 years, so I was already in the insurance industry. And at the same time, GC was working in Hong Kong, so he was in the Asian market for 4 years. So for me, I could know and understand the insurance market. From his side, GC saw a lot about the disruption of the technology that goes extremely fast in the Asian market. And at that time, I had the chance to be a beta tester for a very young payment company called Stripe. And I was thinking, okay, that's super cool. Could we replicate the same model and build a bit the Stripe for insurance? So that was a bit the origination of the idea. To be totally honest, another project was maybe to build the Ryanair of insurance, so it's a bit different. And at that time, I called a few friends, three of them in total, including GC. And on this side, he saw completely the opportunity because of being in the market, living this kind of disruption thanks to the technology. And that was the right moment, and he decided to jump on board, and we started together. Super interesting. Actually, never. I think at the early stage, you believe you're gonna to build a unicorn or decacorn or more than that. When you think about an entrepreneurial journey, what is important is to be very naive. And without being naive, you wouldn't understand that you are indeed too small, what you want to achieve might not work. But because you have a lot of drive, a lot of energy, and you are very naive, then you dare to open every doors. You meet a lot of people, and you have a kind of wild card that you use to meet and do whatever you want to do. I remind that there was this little funny stuff that GC and myself were doing is before every meeting, we were playing the music of Eminem and Lose My Mind. And we were like dancing in the street in front of the building before getting in for the meeting. That was amazing. And that this kind of energy you need to keep going. And so you never really ask yourself about failure. You ask yourself about what's the next nice and important thing to build, what are the next step, and that should be the positive mindset you should embrace as an entrepreneur. So we were, I think, the first year of Qover, and at that time we got a very strong interest from a VC that has in the market a very, very bad reputation. And we knew that we did not want to have something to do with this VC because we consider it was toxic. So we declined the invitation. At the end, just to be polite, they invited us in London, so we went there, and they even invited us at the Four Seasons, a bit to show off, but that did not impress ourselves. And we politely declined, but they did not accept that. And one day, one of those guys came at the office without being invited. He knocked at the door, he opened the door with an investment term sheet, and he wrote, "Look, here is 1 million euro I want to invest. And there is a field for the valuation. I leave it empty. You put whatever you want. It's already pre-signed." And that was a very bold move, especially when you're a startup, you're talking about 1 million euro. But we say no. And I'm pretty sure it was the right call. Not one specifically, but you see it's by wave, by steps. When we launched our first product, we actually got a lot of interest. And the first one that really wanted to build a partnership was ImoWeb, that belonged to the Axel Springer group and is very well known in Belgium. And that was the first iconic deal for us. So that was a bit the starting point. Then very quickly we got on board Deliveroo, first for the Belgian market and then for a European expansion, and it was the kind of the second iconic one. 1 or 2 years afterwards, we got Revolut that knocked at our door, and we got them on board, and so on and so on. And if you look today, we have more than 35 iconic partnerships, very large brands. And it's not like a unique one that was a game changer, but it's accumulation of one by one after one by one. So the thing I'm the most proud is actually the human journey, because when you think about it, building a disruptive company is about, of course, the technology, the value proposition, but this is built by people. And when you start a company, you have the leadership and the drive to define a bit where we want to go. But it's a kind of high-level strategic plan, and what does matter the most is the execution. And what actually I'm the most proud of is to see the level of initiatives that have been taken by the Qover people since the beginning to build this journey. And today I feel that I no longer, since many years, I no longer need to own every topics. Actually, every day I'm discovering things that have been built by the people, and I'm impressed. I'm like, wow, I would have never think about it. That's top notch, that's incredible. And this is actually what drives me, what gives me energy, and what I love the most about an entrepreneurial journey is this human story that you build together. And then Qover is not the baby of the founders, it's a bit the baby of everyone that take their own lead initiatives to build a better future. So, when you build initially a startup, you are looking for what we call the product market fit. And the product market fit is about, is it technically feasible what you want to build? Then is it a market? Is there a market demand? And then is it financially viable? And it's a combination of those three factors. And so obviously, a long time you evolve. You start with a concept, the stripe of insurance, and months after months, you refine the value proposition, you better understand the market demand, you better understand the feasibility, and you improve step by step your product. There is one thing that has never changed, which was the initial bet to do what we call an horizontal play, meaning we don't want to focus the embedded insurance in one given country or for one given vertical like travel insurance only. We decided to be from day one multi-country and multi-insurance product, multi-industry. And this is a very tough call because when you build something horizontal, you need massive investment and you need a lot of knowledge, expertise, and you capture a big part of the value chain. Often people say, it's better to focus on a very specific niche and then to build the best solution for that niche, to capture the market, and then grow to the next vertical. If I start again a startup, I will do that, just to be clear, because the journey is really challenging. But this bet mean the horizontal play that it takes more time. But once you've built it, you have a massive moat. And today we are the only player that has built a true pan-European platform that is working for every countries, every risk carriers, every insurance product, every distributing partners. And that's pretty unique. But that was a crazy journey to get there. So AI, like in every company, is fundamentally transformative. And for me, there are two types of AI. You have the AI for productivity and you have the AI in your core product. And the AI for productivity is about enabling anyone in his day-to-day job to be able to use any type of AI to improve their own day-to-day job. And sometimes I like to compare with the 80s where, people were working on typing machine and then you switch to computer and then suddenly everybody need to learn how to use a computer, how to use the usual tools. That's the same today. We need everyone in the company to be self-sufficient with AI to be able, to improve their own productivity. And then there is how you bring AI to the core product. And this is also another transformation where in insurance, you can, of course, support a lot the technological platform, but there are also in insurance something called the operation. Operation is about the claim management, the customer care, which is a lot of administrative work. And if you look in the insurance industry, what we call the expense ratio, being basically the cost to handle the operation, is sometimes up to 30% of the revenue. So it's a massive cost base. And it is so much driven by administrative work, manual processes, that the quality of service for the final customer is not that high. And there you are in a situation where in insurance, the rule of the game are defined. You have terms and conditions that define what is the product about, what do you cover, what you don't cover. You have different processes that exist. And so it's a perfect match to use generative AI to fundamentally transform operation and to have a lot of enablement to enrich the data to the human, as well as for much more automation that will lead to significantly more efficiency, much better customer satisfaction because the answer will be more accurate, the answer will go faster to the customers, but as well, this famous expense ratio that is sometimes 30%, it can be shrink to close to, I would say, 0% in theory. And so you able the customer to pay much less, so the insurance premium will decrease and become much more affordable. So I think AI is fundamentally transformative when it comes to the operation. It can also be used for underwriting, for customer segmentation, for many other things. But the biggest transformation I see is really in this operational side. I think even myself 10 years ago, I really did not understand what we were doing, and that what we were doing was actually embedded insurance. We're coming from a kind of affinity distribution where insurance product was naturally an upsell to a core product, and it was more seen as a source of additional revenues. And often, unfortunately, tied with very high commission to incentivize the distribution. And so we could question the value created for the final consumer. No, embedded insurance for me is about leading brands trying to understand how they can fundamentally differentiate their value proposition thanks to insurance. And so insurance is truly complementary of the main service and product you operate. And it's about, how I create value for my customer, or I give them peace of mind, or I create a safety net for them. Or do I also can keep retention, loyalty, and so. And in some of our partnership, and it's very interesting, some of our partners say, I don't do embedded insurance as an additional source of money. I just want to give peace of mind for my customer. And this is incredible that embedded insurance is seen as a way to enhance your value proposition. And that's a totally fundamental change compared to what we could see 10 years ago. So I'm a big believer of this global safety net. I see insurance as a kind of social security on steroid, where at the end, whatever happened to you at any time, you are fully protected. And what we see is that there is a growing insurance gap, where insurance is not easy to access for some people, or the affordability is a complex matter. There is a lot about the financial education. And to buy insurance, you should first understand that insurance. And also you need to trust insurance company. And sometimes there is a problem of trust. And so the vision of this global safety net is that actually leading brands by embedding insurance can reduce this insurance gap. So I'm a huge believer of this global safety net. I think at Qover we are doing a lot of right steps in that direction. Of course, we are, I don't say we are too small, but we have a certain size. That means our impact globally is still limited. But the biggest impact for me lies more in how do you serve the customer and how much value you create. When you think about serving the customer, it's about the service level agreement. We have agreement where from the first notification of loss, when someone declares a claim, we pay within 24 hours. That is outstanding. Having this commitment to answer fast. Myself on a personal level, I'm dealing now with a traditional insurance company. It's been 3.5 months that my claim is open. I have no answer at all. And I know that at Qover, the operational services are outstanding and we truly care about the customer. It's about the value you create, making sure that when you collect 100 euro of premium, you could maximize the amount of money you give back to the customers. So you kind of maximize the loss ratio and not, waste value into expenses as well as commission, where sometimes there are still too many insurance programs that run on a very high commission, which is at the end not creating value for the final customers. And so it's about your DNA. How do you do that in your own company? Do you really bring embedded insurance with the intention to maximize the loss ratio, to maximize the value you create to the society, as well as to have very strong SLAs on the process and the quality of servicing? And typically, I would love to pledge for a kind of maximization of loss ratio alongside with the best SLA, or to define market standard service level agreement when it comes to managing claims and operation. And I think that should be the next step in the insurance industry to build back a trust relationship with the final customers. What I think for me, I love is to see the transformation of people. Once someone asked me a question, where do you hire the people from? And it was a traditional bank asking that to me. And I answered to that person, actually, I'm hiring my people from your traditional bank because we've created an environment where people can really flourish. And I have seen massive human transformation and also a professional transformation. And we really create this environment where people are entitled to fail, they're entitled to learn data, they're entitled to progress, and they've created very deep connection. And I know that, a lot of people are very close friends today in the organization. They are strongly connected. And I see that people are fighters and supporters. And this is absolutely unique about the culture of the company. So, of course, I mentioned the connection being one of our value to prioritize connection. We've also one of the value about caring, because we should care as a company towards building the right solution for the global safety net and our people. The one I like the most is to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's an important one, is that unfortunately we cannot guarantee to people that it will be something easy to do, or we cannot guarantee stability. And there is a kind of chaos that happens in every scale up. Yet at the same time, we are a regulated industry, we are a very professional player, and we stand out by how serious we are. But it requires people to have a mindset to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And this is the value for me that is the most important, and is the most important one I check when we hire someone to join the company, to be sure they are ready to embark on this journey. This is not a question I like, because often when we ask what would you do if you had a time machine, I would not dare to take it, because that the life is very fragile, and maybe that's a butterfly effect. You change one little thing and then everything collapses, or the future is totally different. So per se, I will not take your time machine. If there is one advice I would say is keep being naive. Keep being naive, keep believe you can make it happen, keep believe there is no myth. And that as long as you believe, to make the impossible, you first have to believe that you can make it. And if you don't believe about that, you cannot change the world. I have so many memories that are absolutely incredible. I think, of course, we have the offsite that we had with the entire company when we went to Croatia or to Marbella, and those offsite are incredible. I still recall when we went to Croatia, we realized that we're bringing 25 people there. And I asked GC, we have to cook the food, or are we going to do that for 25 people? And he said, wait a second. And so he literally left the office. There was a restaurant in front of the office. He went there. He asked the chef, what do you do next week? And the chef said, look, actually nothing. And say, okay, come, I'll bring you in Croatia and you're going to cook for the Qover team. Those kind of incredible stories are part of our daily life. We have amazing stories also when I went to event with GC in Las Vegas, and we get a lot of fun. We met a lot of people. We have many war stories about commercial deals that we were supposed to launch overnight, and sometimes we did launch commercial partnership with nothing being ready, and then you need to build all the processes and so on afterwards. But I think generally speaking, those kind of company events, and we do a lot of them, are the one where I really like and enjoy because it creates deep connection. You get fun, but you also learn a lot about your business, yourself, and so on. That's a great question. I think we have a very strong vision about where we want to go. We have a very strong value proposition. We are actually considered as one of the most serious insurtech in the industry, and we are trusted by many of them. I have no doubt, and I see really this exponential growth year after year, that we will be one of the big ones going forward, and that will enable us to make a massive step toward building this global safety net. And I dream of a day where we would have imposed to the rest of the insurance industry our vision about pledging for a maximum loss ratio, as well as the top-notch service level agreement in the operational services, because creating value for the customer is not only how much you pay, is also with what type of quality and service you do that. And this is exactly where I see Qover in 10 years.